Have you ever posted something to your brand page and felt totally invisible? Well, this happened to Jai DeSilva too, until he cracked the content code that got millions of views and helped him make more than $19 million in online product sales. And in this exclusive interview, Jai will be revealing the secrets to making so much in just a matter of a few years, the content blueprint he uses to build hype, and more importantly, how you can grow your clothing brand too. But first, Jai's going to show you the time-saving hack he used to grow his brand to $1 million a month, all the while working a full-time job. Thanks to Printful for sponsoring this conversation. If you were to take me back to that moment when you were a carpenter, because you left that and you mentioned the word burnout. It has some very negative connotations attached to it. If you were to take me back to the lowest moment when you were a carpenter, how did that feel and what did it look like on an everyday level? Like, what had your life become at that point?
I would say a blur, to be honest. Like, it was just in one of those, I guess you would call it a rut. Like, when you're in it, you don't really realize it, but when you look back, whether it's years, months, weeks later, doing the same shit every weekend, partying way too hard, like blowouts every weekend kind of thing, and just wake up, do it all again. And there was no real purpose, drive. It was, you're alive doing stuff, but you're not really reflecting on anything.
Now, every moment of this conversation was audible gold, but you can use the chapters down below in this video to skip to particular points if you wish.
I think it's one thing that I do a lot of now is like, how am I actually feeling? Am I working on things I like? Whereas when you're working in a job that is just a job and you rock up every day, clock your 8 hours and go home, sit on your phone, go to sleep, wake up, do it all again. It's kind of a sad kind of existence. For me, it was a sad existence. I wasn't enjoying it at all, but I didn't really know what else there was to life at that stage. I think I was young and naive.
How old were you?
23, 24. Very immature though. Took a long time to grow up, to be honest.
Did you know that it was a sad existence when you were in it? Did you feel that?
More. No, I think I always wanted more, like, I guess most people do. Like, you always want more, but you don't really know how you're ever going to achieve it. It's just like you think it'll happen one day, or you'll get lucky, or things will figure it out. But it wasn't until I realized, like, I didn't really want to be a carpenter anymore. I didn't want to work for someone else, and I hated going to job sites. And I was like, I need to figure out what to do with my life, and I actually have to take some drastic kind of measures and changes. That being said, like, very lucky in the fact that I was 23, living at home, had no obligations in life whatsoever. I could do that. Like, not everyone can quit their job and, go and do something for fun for a little bit till they figure it out. I'm very aware of that, but that was my reality, and I was lucky to have gone through it.
Lucky? Why? Why would such a sad, if you reflect on it and say that was a sad existence, why would you be lucky to have had that?
I'm also saying, like, lucky that I was able to probably change that.
That you were able to change that?
Yeah, that's where I would see the lucky from. I think you're lucky regardless. Like, I had a loving family, incredible friends, amazing girlfriend, was working on cool things. Like, I just finished building a nightclub with some friends. Like, I had all that stuff, but again, it wasn't what I wanted to do long term. It was just an existence of some degree.
If it wasn't what you wanted to do, why did you do it?
Just the path you fall down, I think, in some stage. Being 17, falling into an apprenticeship, dropping out of uni after a semester, all those things. I kind of felt like that was my path in life, to be a tradie, go and try and be a builder, kind of climb the ranks that way. And it took me a while to realize that you don't need to do the thing that you set out to originally. You can change. I've had so many jobs, so many different ideas and career paths. So I don't think it's definitely not set in stone, but it takes a certain kind of person to actually maybe give up a set career path or you know, you have to be in a position where you can even do it. You have to have support around you that you can do it. As much as my parents didn't agree with it at the start, I wouldn't be sitting here today if, you know, they weren't there supporting me and picking me up when the pieces fall apart, or, you know, allowing me to live at home for as long as I did and, you know, figure out my life.
So do you think that you staying stuck there was more that you didn't know what you wanted, or was it that you did know what you wanted, but you didn't think it was possible to achieve that?
I think it's probably more so you don't, for me personally, you know, like some people figure it out much earlier, but for me personally, I didn't know what was out there or what was possible. It's kind of like, you know, this is my job, this is what I do, that's it. Like I didn't know about e-commerce, didn't know about anything else, didn't know about content. Everything else that I've, you know, done in my life since then was very foreign to me. Never listened to a podcast, never done any of that stuff. So I think naivety is probably the word and the way that I would put it. I was just living in a certain lane, living a certain way.
And what was the moment, the story, the conversation, the minute that you realized that enough is enough and you're sick of this, or and you realize that you need to do something else?
I couldn't put it down to a minute, to be honest. I think it's a slow progression over time, more so than a light bulb moment. I think it was, you know, it wears you down. And again, I was just going with the flow at the time. Was
there a day you quit though?
Yeah, but then as I said, there wasn't really like a hard stop date. It's kind of...
You're still doing carpentry today?
Slow progression. No, not quite.
There was never a hard stop date?
There was never really a hard stop date. It kind of just, you know, one day I woke up and I was working full time on an e-commerce brand. So it kind of just slowly progressed over a period of 6 months.
So in that 6 month period, what did your busiest day look like? If you were to give me a rundown of a schedule, as if you time blocked like the minutes in your day from the time you wake up to when you go to sleep, still working as a carpenter, also doing e-commerce, and that was Pupnaps at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What does your schedule look like?
I can't remember, man. It's a long time ago. Wake up, go to work, you know, try and fit in some emails during lunch break, go home, and then probably work until 8 or 9 o'clock, go to sleep, do it all again. Yeah, in some regard of that.
Was that a more hopeful or fulfilling existence than just doing carpentry? Was that a light of hope, or was that dim and in the trenches? And
no, it was exciting. This was learning something new. Didn't know where it was going to take me. It was kind of like new, foreign. I always find I'm energized when I'm learning new things and doing something that I haven't done before. So I found that, I would say, a period of excitement, more so than anything else.
There is a lot of brand owners or want to be brand owners that work jobs, whether in trades or maybe an office job, and they don't enjoy it. In fact, they probably hate it. And if one of them were to send you an email and it said, "I hate my job," that's the tagline, and they're 23 years old and they want to get out and they have no idea how, and they know that they want to start a clothing brand and they know that that's their passion, but they just don't have enough time, or at least they feel they don't have enough time to get it off the ground when they're working a 9 to 5. And they also don't have the bravery to quit their job, and they don't have the stability to be able to leave that income. And if you're going to give them a comprehensive response in an email, what would you say? Let me show you how to make a winning product in 60 seconds. Because most brands fail in the first few years, and the reason why is simple. They buy piles of inventory before they even know anyone actually wants it. And so that's why it's so important to test products before putting in a bulk order. But how do you do that? Well, I thought I'd ask a few different factories for their prices on a single sample t-shirt, and Well, check this out. $45, $75, even $110. This is robbery. So here's the smarter play. And it's thanks to the sponsor of this conversation, Printful. You don't even need to order a sample upfront to start testing. You can spin up a simple store in minutes and just upload your design, publish it, and let your audience do the talking. If it flops, well, no big deal. But when it does well, you've just validated your product without spending hundreds. Of course, samples are still a solid move if you want to feel and test the products yourself. But the real game changer is the data. And that's something you don't need to spend all that money on. So create multiple product variations, post content, and watch what gets engagements. Then simply double down. And when it comes time to release properly, you're not guessing, you're launching with proof. No guesswork, and definitely no garage full of unsold tees. So if you're like me and against failing your clothing brand, then click the link below and you can have your first design on its way to start creating content. Thank you, Printful.
I guess like the first thing that I would push back on is them saying they don't have the time.
Why?
Well, like, why don't they have the time? It's like, what else besides going to your job to keep a roof over your head is taking up your time? Like, if you don't have kids, if you don't have boyfriends, obligations, girlfriends, whatever it is, if you really did want to even just learn a new skill or to make a start on a business, like, what is actually stopping you? I think that's probably the first question. And I probably wouldn't even get any further than that. It's like, if someone says to me, I don't have the time, and I'm not saying you have to stay up till midnight every night, because I think that's wrong. And I'm not like that at all. Like I respect my sleep more than most people. So I find, there is a happy medium. Like sometimes you have late nights or early mornings and you do have to make it work. But the first thing I always push back on is like, people saying, oh, I don't have the time, but I want to do this. And it's like, well, that's kind of the first point of call, I would say, and where I would maybe even not reply.
How about this? I'll be devil's advocate.
Yeah.
And we'll role play it, and I'll be the brand owner.
Yeah.
So I do really want to start my brand. I actually do really care about it. And I work some pretty early mornings from 4 a.m. until probably about 3 p.m. So pretty long days. And then by the time I get home, I'm totally wrecked. And then even then, I want to chill out. I want time for myself. And I also have a girlfriend, and that relationship's important to me. And even if I did really want to, I still can't do my brand.
I would just talk, but my pushback is you don't care about it enough, because you would say, you would wake up and go, yes, I have work, but I'm going to get up half an hour early, or I'm going to not chill out for half an hour. I'm not going to watch TV. I'm not going to see my girlfriend every single night, because she knows that it's important to me and she cares enough about me that she's going to give me a night to myself. At some point, you do have to make sacrifices to some degree to make anything good, great, anything that you want badly enough, you'll make time for. So yeah, I am sympathetic to some degree, but also that I think at some point, if you do want to build something, if you do want to create something, something has to give. You can't have everything. Maybe it's not forever, but maybe for 6 months you say to yourself, nothing else matters in my life besides learning about how to make a brand, and I'm going to do that. And yes, you still have to go to work, but you don't work on the weekends. You don't, whatever it is that you need to do it for 6 months, even 6 weeks, whatever it is. If you can't commit any sort of period of time and carve out any sort of hours, minutes per day, then what's the point? You're never gonna make it anyway. So
when you were 23 years old and you were a carpenter, you also had a girlfriend at that point as well.
Yeah.
And same one. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How many years?
Pushing 8 or 9.
Jai.
Something like that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's more than most can say.
It's a long time. That's good. Very happy.
It is. I think there's a common string here of commitment, not only in your relationship, but also, I mean, heck, you take action with more than most will. And that needs a level of commitment too, right?
100%.
Anyway, to my question. When you were 23 years old, you were a budding entrepreneur, you were a carpenter, you had a girlfriend. You didn't have much time. What did you choose to sacrifice?
What did I choose to sacrifice?
Because just understanding what you're saying before, you have to sacrifice something. That's a no-brainer.
I'll be completely honest. Like, I wasn't a good boyfriend for a very long period of time. Like, I was immature, and I only have this long-term relationship because my partner is incredibly patient, I think, and much more mature beyond her years than I am. So I would say she probably copped a lot of it in terms of my focus was either myself or going to work or working late, like one of those three. You know, that was probably the sacrifice. I would say if I honestly look back on it and didn't sugarcoat it, I would say that's probably the truth.
Did you consciously choose that, or did that just happen naturally just by prioritizing other things?
I don't think no one wants to wake up and be a bad person, but I would say just immaturity, I think. Like, you know, being young and dumb and immature and being in my own head for that many years was probably more so. It wasn't I'm going to wake up and not care about anything or just be selfish every day, but I was for a very long time. And yeah, it took me a long time to grow out of it, but it's, for me, I look back on it and say, I wish I could be as mature as even yourself at that age, but that wasn't who I was, and that's not, how it went.
Do you regret how it went? Do you regret not being the boyfriend that you could have, and making that sacrifice?
Yes and no. I think if I were, if you live your life just regretting everything, then I wouldn't be, again, sitting here today. I think everything I've done, right or wrong, has led me to where I am today, and I'm happy, very content with myself at the moment. Do you look back on certain instances and go, I wish I could have been a better person, boyfriend, son, whatever it is? Yes. But again, like I don't know, you either have to grow up or, grow with it and accept it and, not do those things again and try and be a better person, or you live in regret, or you live in, I don't even know, like sweeping under the rug, I guess. Like you live in that kind of, naivety of it never was like that. And I think if you don't own up to it, then it's probably the worst outcome. Did
you own up to it?
Yeah. I mean, I do now. Like I'm very open about it. Like, I guess I would own it. Yeah. Like I wasn't a good person growing up in my early 20s. I was naughty, I guess, horrible, just immature. But as I said, like if I don't admit that, then that's probably worse, I think. If I just, act like nothing happened or that I wasn't the way that I actually was, I personally feel like that's worse.
Do you have empathy for that young Jai? Because you use some pretty harsh language towards him.
Yeah, I don't know. Like what's...
Because you knew what he was going through.
Only looking back on it, not at the time. I would never have this level of self-reflection back then. There wasn't much happening upstairs in those years.
Do you have empathy for him? Are you hard on him?
It's hard. Hard to have empathy. I think it's probably the wrong word.
Was there a conversation that you and your girlfriend had that made you decide that that wasn't the thing to sacrifice anymore?
Nah.
Like, did she bring it up ever? Did she ever bring it up?
No, I don't think so. Like, there wasn't a specific conversation. It's been a long year. It's been a long 8 years.
And you talk about it now, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, openly.
Yeah. So back to that brand owner that doesn't have much time and probably shouldn't start a brand anyway. because they don't really want it, but they do want it. What do you think what advice would you give them if they ask a question like, what should I sacrifice?
What are the least important things? Like, paying your rent, eating food, incredibly important. Their livelihoods. Are new clothes, if you don't actually need them, livelihoods? Probably not. It's going out every weekend a livelihood? No. There are little things that won't change your life drastically that you could give up. Being more empathetic from your side of the view is like, okay, if you really, really think you don't have time, but you really, really apparently want it, then how can you, carve out half an hour a day? Like, can you do it in your lunch break? Can you make it around your work? Can you carve out an hour every Saturday? Like, can you listen to podcasts on your way to work? Like, what can you do to just get the ball rolling and get some level of motivation to a point that it changes your mindset a little bit? Like, I think speaking from my own personal experience, like, for me to get to where I am and to see how much sometimes sacrifice it takes, I didn't just go out and listen to this is how to run a business books. Like, it was more so about mindset and like getting razzed up to actually do work and people actually making sacrifices. And, like, as much as that's not healthy and like that whole hustle culture can lead to negative outcomes, like for me personally, that helped me, that changed my mindset, because I was very much in the mindset of rock up, do 8 hours, leave as early as possible. Like, I'd leave at 8 hours on the dot because I fucking hated my job and I hated being there anyway. But like, to go from that mindset to, I'm not going to watch TV at night and I'm actually going to work on something outside of my own hours and I'm going to do it on my weekends. Like, people don't just flick a switch and have that in them. Like, you kind of need to either really, really, really want it, or you have an external factor that pushes you to it, whether it's monetary, whether it's, tragedy, whatever it is. Like, if you have something that really drives you to do it, they can actually flick a switch. But if you're just Joe Blow and you're comfortable at home, you're living at home, you're got good friends, like everyone's partying all the time, like you want to be social, you want to do all this, but you also want to start a brand, it is really hard to actually get into that mindset. So you kind of need to start at the core of like, okay, I need to really be motivated enough to do this, and everything else will fall into place after you get to that point.
It's almost like stuff being worse is easier than it just being okay. If
you look at like I'm generalizing it, but like every billionaire to some degree has had some sort of hardship story. Every self-made billionaire, every self-made millionaire, like bootstrap business, like, yes, I am generalizing it, but I would say majority of them have gone through some sort of hardship, whether that's bullying, trauma, poor parents, whatever it is. Like, you kind of need to have that, because if you live in that cushy life, living at home, middle class, upper class, whatever it is, like if everything's good around you, where does that internal drive for you to actually go and break out of that come from? Like, it has to come from an external factor, or it has to come from really deep inside of you. Yeah. And I don't think that means that people that have an okay life as it is can't change either. 100%. Yep. So you hit a pretty low point. Existence was sad, as you put it, although you didn't quite know it at that stage, but you wanted to feel something else and do something else. And so you started Pupnaps with Davey Fogarty. How did that idea come about, and what was like some of those initial conversations you had with Davey while you were still a carpenter that spawned what would be Pupnaps? So I was working in the warehouse, like packing orders for his brands, and then started doing a little bit of custom. Which ones were they at that stage? The Oodie and Calming Blankets. Okay, so he already had the Oodie. Yeah, early days. How successful was he already by then? It was early days, like maybe $100,000 a month kind of vibe, maybe a bit more, but like it was growing quickly. And then I went and started doing a little bit of customer service, learning about ops from his brother, like just honestly learning about e-commerce. Like, I had no idea. It was very foreign. I was at the bottom end of the rung, kind of just literally unpacking the containers and just being labor for the business. And then we started talking about doing something together. I don't remember how it happened, but in America, dog beds were getting like blowing up in America. And I think like America is the epicenter of all things Western culture. You know, whatever happens there will happen around the world at some stage. And that's just been true for a very, very long time. And so we saw specifically like these style of dog beds that we kind of scaled on originally. Like they were there, they were blowing up. No one in Australia had done a huge market. Pets are kind of the pet niche as a whole is a bulletproof industry, you know, rain, hail or shine.
Why? How did you identify that?
It's kind of like common knowledge, like, to be honest. If you Google research any sort of like what are the best industries per se, pets will be near the top, purely because no matter what's happening in the economy around the world, people, one, will always have pets, and two, they will never not feel obliged to give them whatever they can. Now, maybe they don't buy them the most expensive dog food all the time, but if they can, they will, and they have such deep connections to them, and they're always gonna, you know, consistently buy them. So it's a very much a, you know, they would rather not buy an expensive dress and make sure that their dog's always fed or has a comfortable bed. That's just the way the world is, you know, which is a good thing. I think pets are, you know, a necessity, I would almost say. I think they're an amazing part of life. So to me also, it was something that I was deeply interested in, having a dog. We both had dogs. It was kind of like a natural, I wouldn't say natural, but it was an easy progression for us.
So in other words, it was a gap in the market, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, it was in an industry that was fairly indestructible. And number three, it had personal relevance to both you and Davey.
All three of those. It was just like, yeah, we looked at clothing, we looked at other random things, and it was like, here's a very easy dip the toes in the water brand to start for my sake. You know, dogs don't complain about their bed, so as long as you make them look comfy for the owners, they are the perfect kind of customer base.
That's right, you're not going to have dogs sending you emails.
No,
imagine.
you know, I did eat my words a little bit there, because dog owners can be psychotic just as any other customer can, but yeah, they can go pretty crazy as well.
What was in those early stages, maybe even before Pupnaps, when you and Davey decided to team up, when you were just working in the warehouse, learning operations, very like beginning e-com, what was one lesson? Actually, no, I'll start with this. Do you feel like Davey was more like a mentor or a friend in that season?
Mentor, definitely, because I had no idea what I was doing. So,
were you okay with that?
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I be? It's like, I was more than happy to learn and, you know, take as much advice as I could. Yeah, I wouldn't be, again, sitting here without going through that and having him in my corner. Like, that's just a fact.
And what was one lesson that you learnt from Davey that you...
It's not one, there's millions.
Just
I'll give you one that maybe sticks out, maybe more so than any, was like when we had a really bad month with Pupnaps and I was really upset about it. And Dave sat me down and was like, you know, Woody was absolutely flying at that time, doing millions of dollars a month. And he kind of was like, you can't compare your first year, like speaking to me personally, to my 8th year. And that has always stuck to me. It's like, no matter what happens, I think time in the game will outweigh everything else. Like, someone may get something right seemingly overnight and be a millionaire from the age of 16 if they, you know, if there are people like that and they're making millions of dollars at a very young age. But I think over a long period of time, whatever you're trying to set out to achieve, you know, whatever I'm trying to set out to achieve, it will happen if I just keep sticking at it for long enough.
What was like you said, it was a bad month. What was a bad month at that stage for Pupnaps, if you remember?
Like would have been like unprofitable, or like, you know, we would have had supplier issues, like just whatever it was.
Yeah. Do you know, like, at what stage, how far in was this, and what stage the revenue was at that point? No. Okay. Like, as from what I've seen, like the Pupnaps business, it at one point was doing $1 million or more a month.
Yeah.
What were the very tactical things that you both did, if you were to write a report and a case study for your own brand, to go from zero to the first $100,000 month?
Like, to be completely honest, timing was the biggest thing. Like, if we were 6 months later, we wouldn't be as big as we were at that stage. I think one was timing. Like,
can you break that down? Like, what about the timing? Like, what made it so great to do with timing?
Just like, we were essentially the first to market to a degree. So timing was a big part of it. And I think you can't, unless you have a really big point of difference, you can't be the 50th brand to market, because all you're going to do is compete on price to the bottom. Like, unless you have something that is inherently different, which we didn't. We were selling them off the shelf. Like, yes, they were better produced in terms of quality, better zips, branding, but it was something that anyone could buy off the shelves, essentially. So unless you actually have a point of real difference and you own the designs, like the Oodie, and that's why the Oodie was so good, because they owned all the designs, like, you actually need to be first or second to market. So that's one part of it. And then the other part was, like, we really did get content right from an early stage. Like, we understood better than most early on, like, leveraging points of authority. So, like, bringing in vets to talk about the beds and why they would need them, bringing in actors but having them speak from, like, an authority of a dog walker, like using UGC but from an authority of they've had so many dog beds and this is the best they've tried. Like, we very much leveraged everything from a authoritative point of view, and that's where our content worked better than just, here's our dog bed, you know, your dog will love it because it's so comfy, which a lot of brands did, and all they could do was kind of compete on price.
I want to come back to the content. I'm curious about the market differentiation, because you said some really interesting things. One of the first things that you said was that zips, higher quality, more this, more that, is not a real market differentiation. I think a lot of people need to hear that, because the number of clothing brands I see marketing 250 GSM shirts as like, this is what makes us different and better than every other clothing brand.
This is where they get it wrong as well. Is like, e-commerce brands, like, no one gives a fuck about 250 GSM unless they really know clothes, and you're not trying to sell clothes to people that really know them, because they can't feel them, they can't touch them. All they care about is what they look like. And that's where so many brands come unstuck, is like, they think these things that, yes, they do matter to a degree, but they're not what it's going to make someone purchase. It's going to be your content, your storytelling, more so than your features, because you could put 10 black 250 GSM t-shirts up side by side on the internet and you won't be able to tell the difference. Like, there is no way to tell the difference unless you actually feel them and touch them, which as e-commerce brands you can't do. So
it's intangible for online shopping.
Yeah.
Why are we selling something that's intangible online? So if it wasn't for the timing, would Pupnaps have anything going for it?
Yeah, but I don't think it would have been as big. Like, I honestly don't think it would have been as big as it was. Like, we got incredibly lucky. We started it in 2019, like early 2019, COVID hit. Like, you know, every second person was getting a dog during that time. So all of these things worked in our favor really well. Even with, like, you know, the Oodie, even with so many e-commerce brands, people were spending more time at home, and that played into our hands perfectly. So that's why I say, like, timing was such a big part of it. And if I would be lying if I sat here and said, you know, it was just because of us and everything we did, like it was essentially like we didn't get lucky because we still executed to an incredibly high degree, but yeah, like we did get lucky to a degree as well though. Like we timed it really well. We couldn't foresee what was going to happen, but we were there, right place, right time. We'd started at the right time. We had all the systems and processes in place, and we were able to scale it really quickly because of that.
Can you manufacture that timing? Or did you accidentally, like, I don't know how it was for you, whether you accidentally...
Yeah, I think you can. Like, you can't manufacture world-changing events, but you can manufacture seasonality. You can manufacture trends. Like, you can manufacture success around events. So I think you can manufacture timing, but not to the degree of, you know, world pandemics.
You can't manufacture world pandemics?
No.
I'm sure there's some scientists that can.
Yeah.
It could be possible. This is so relevant, such an irrelevant tangent, but I did once watch a TED talk by Bill Gates. He's got this new angle that's all about everything worse than a nuclear bomb. It's so morbid. So sorry to bring you this on your evening, but everything worse than a nuclear bomb, one of those things he believed was pandemics. This was before COVID.
Yeah.
And he basically predicted COVID, number one. Number two, he broke down not the chemical formulas, but how you would go about creating a weapon of mass destruction if you had something extremely contagious like a common cold and extremely deadly like the plague. Put that together, we're done.
Crazy.
So turns out, if anyone's looking for some e-commerce brands that thrive in pandemics, probably should not be suggesting that. Yeah. You mentioned before how big of a role content played in your success. And I imagine if it wasn't for the content that you did, then, well, what would Pupnaps be at all? Nothing.
Yeah. I guess like it's for any brand, like if you don't get content right, like how do you exist in today's world? Offline media still has a place, but it doesn't have the scale or reach that posting content, running ads, like it just doesn't have that same reach.
And it's almost like we've never quite had this point in history where something so scalable is also so cheap. That offline media is both less scalable and more expensive.
And I think it's like, you know, I would have this conversation at minimum 3 times a week at the moment. It's like I say it to a lot of builders at the moment, because I posted some like building content and like about like really good builders posting good content, and like I've had so many people coming into my inbox about it. But like what I say to them is like, no matter how good your work is, if you don't exist online, to some degree you are irrelevant. Now, whether that's right or wrong, it's just a fact. Like as a business, if you don't appreciate that, then you can only scale in a very small circle of word of mouth. Like, and their argument is, well, you know, we do better work than Bob the builder down the road, but he just has way more followers than us. And it's like, well, yeah, I guarantee you, if you have 2 identical quotes, products, whatever it is, the person that's going to get the job is the person that has the following. Now, whether it's right or wrong, everyone goes to Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, they go straight to their website, they look at their posts, they look at their content. Are they reputable? Do they have a following? If yes, I'm going to buy from them. I'm going to go use their service. Like whatever it is, any business, any product, like that's the way the world is at the moment.
Right. So it's a leg up in many ways, that if you are selling a product that has no real differentiation, I mean, do the differentiation if you can, by all means. But if you have one that doesn't have a real differentiation or is similar to another one on the market, your leg up is if your marketing is better, quantified by your followers. If you've got more trust, you've got more social proof.
I think like to like push back a little bit is like, you don't like, I don't want people to think I'm saying you have to have a big following. Like, that's not what my point is. I'm just saying, if you're not actively posting and like showing what you do, why you're better than anyone else, using it as a tool to market yourself, then you essentially don't really have a leg up, is, you know, more so my point. I don't think, you know, if you had someone with 1,000 followers and 100,000 followers, then yeah, like that would be the disparity that it would be important. But I don't think people should just be chasing followers. I don't want that to be the point.
Understood.
Yeah.
I think many clothing brands already understand the importance of content creation. I mean, heck, they're listening to this podcast, they do. And you talk about content creation. If they're from your audience, they probably follow you because they care about it. So they understand that bit. I think what they're interested in, and me as well, I'm curious to know, what were the specific content pillars that you and Davey were acting upon that accompanied the growth of Pupnaps?
For us, like, UGC was a big one. Like, this was 2019, 2020, 2021, I would say, were towards the end of the golden years of like UGC. Like, it just became so, you can tell a UGC ad from a mile away now, and people are very much cottoned onto that. We were quite early in the piece with it, so we got very lucky. We had thousands of customers. We paid for a lot of UGC creation collabs. So that was a huge pillar for us, because that social proof bought us a lot of social currency, and it really worked. The other pillars that we focused on were those educational kind of authoritative points of difference. Like, on a whim one day, I emailed the producers of Bondi Vet, asking them if there was any vets that we could kind of work with, and we ended up running like a really big collaboration for quite a while that worked so well that they kind of ended it and started their own pet store because of it.
You showed them the way, and then they took it and run.
But like, you know, those are probably the two, is like UGC, like social proof, building out a content creation army was early days for us. We didn't quite get it right, but the thesis was there and the process was kind of in play. And then the educational stuff for us was really big. It was like, okay, to a lot of people, it was just a dog bed. So we actually had to say, well, look, this is why it is better for your dog. And this is what the benefits of using it are. This is why we've created a bamboo cover. Like, all of these things we actually broke down, more so than just, here's a dog bed, costs, you know, whatever it cost at the time. Please buy it.
What is UGC content?
User generated content. Yeah. Like, two regards of it is, well, the two different, I guess, styles traditionally are, one, you pay a content creator to make a video about your product, and they read off a script, they go off a whim, whatever it is, whatever the relationship is, or it may be organically created by one of your customers.
Sure. And are these people, when you were doing UGC with Pupnaps, was it just high level influencers, just everyday people, or?
It was both. Yeah.
Why?
Just
what's the benefit of each one and the purpose? Are they different?
Yeah, I think more so than now they are much more different, but at the time it was whatever just fit the budget and whatever we could get. You know, obviously they had to have a dog, so that was the first hurdle. And then secondly, it wasn't as easy as it is now to find people comfortable being on camera. I think it's so much more socially accepted now, and so many more people do it. But even, you know, 5 years ago, it was not as big as it is now. Like, TikTok was around, but it only really blew up at the start of COVID, especially here in Australia. So finding people, you know, we kind of just took whatever we could at that stage.
And what percentage of your customers, even if you don't exactly know, like ballpark, do you believe came from all that UGC content? Like, was it like minimal, like 10% or less, or was it like 90% or more, or was it like somewhere in between 50%?
I really have no, I don't even know, to be honest. If I had to guess, maybe 50-50. purely because it was all run back through our ad account, and like we had a pretty even split of the two content pillars.
So you mean two content pillars is the educational versus UGC?
Yeah.
50-50, that's a lot. We could talk about UGC.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned something that you said it was big when you were doing it, but not now. So why?
I think it's like a different format, right? So you had these agencies that blew up. Like a good one that comes to mind is like a Creative Converters, where they had a stable of hundreds of influencers and they had all these brands working with them as an agency, and they would send all their products out to the same creators. And then after a period of time, you start seeing the same person creating content for this different brands, and it becomes a negative feedback loop. So it worked for a period of time until it didn't work anymore, and people realized like they don't want to be sold 4 different products by the same influencer or they weren't even influencers, they were just creators at that stage. I think that style of UGC has died out, and now you see much more organic kind of like customer related content, and also more so brands going deeper with one creator. So whether it's an employee or it's an outside kind of source of content, they'll build a partnership, bring someone in as the face of the brand, whatever it may be, and they'll go a lot deeper with one person. Just depends on, what the business needs and what they kind of have the resources for.
So you're suggesting UGC still has as a place, but instead of being many creators and a little bit from each, where each of them is sleeping with multiple women.
Yeah, I think
not in a literal sense.
UGC traditionally is like, you go out and pay 4 or 5 people and they create content for you. One, it's like really disingenuous because they don't really care about the product. They're not customers. They're just doing it because they're getting paid to do it. And 2, it's just like, if they are purely just UGC creators and they're big enough, or they've got another, for some reason they've been in one of your competitors' ads, like it's not a good look for you as a brand. So I think they still have their place, but just not in a traditional sense anymore.
You think that these, like you mentioned something before about like, it's more organic now. Like, what do you mean by that?
It's not here yet, but like TikTok Shop in America is like, an absolute behemoth now. And that is just random people, random customers, random fans of specific products, brands, making TikToks about products that they like. Now, some of them are incentivized to do it and some of them do it full time, and they become, again, your traditional sort of UGC creator. But inherently what people as a society will do is they'll buy off other people. So they want to build trust with someone. They want to feel like it's a genuine reaction. It's a genuine kind of video. It's a genuine kind of interaction that I'm giving with you, or I'm having. So I'm giving you a real review of the product that I've bought, and I'm speaking truly about it because I actually, have lived this experience. So I think that's why you see a lot more brands now tap into messy customer videos, because they are a lot more native and organic and they look real.
So that's even like, you think there's more of a focus on these smaller, like even smaller UGC
micro creators. Yeah. Like, it really depends, and it's what happens with one business, it won't be for the other. But lots of businesses will rather spend their whole budget giving 25 smaller creators their product instead of giving one big influencer their product. Like if you have one influencer that has 100,000 followers, or you can go and give your product to 50 people with 1,000 followers, that is going to have so much more effect, because you don't know who's in their circle. You don't know how many more people that they follow, or like, that follow them, they have a much smaller, much more engaged audience, whereas someone with 100,000 followers.
Does that approach contradict the idea of using less influencers and being more invested into the few?
Yeah, and I think that's why I said it depends on the business, I think.
Right.
And what you're about. Like some businesses, it's great to have just one face, and they only want to have that one face of the business, and they want to have someone that's trusted. And, I know Jai from Business X or whatever it is, like, but unless, and this is why I say it's about the business, like unless I have an ownership in that business, unless I'm a long-term employee, unless I'm incentivized to stay, like if I just quit that job for whatever reason, like the business might lose out because there goes the face of the business.
So it's also about scalability and longevity.
Yeah, like that's why I come back to like whatever the business needs are and how it aligns with the business. And that's why I see so many founders being the face of their brands now, because it's like the founder's not going anywhere. It's their business, it's them. They're one and the business. Like it just makes the most sense. Whereas if you go the employee generated content route, or you go down the route of outsourcing it all, there is always that kind of unknown of what could happen in the future, and you have to bring in different people, you have to replace them, they want to do content that you don't align with. Like it becomes an unknown.
If you were to give 5 steps for a smaller clothing brand starting out with UGC content, what would the first step be?
Wow.
Like if they're going from creating everything themselves, and they've got a pretty good handle on that by now.
Yeah.
But they hear everything you're saying. They say, okay, this is great. Like I'm in. Like I'm in. I love it. Like I agree. What's like the most initial step that they can take to make this a reality?
Well, they got to get their hands in the products of people, I guess, and as many as they can. Now, one, it has to make sense for your business. You can't just go and give away 50 hoodies if you can't afford it. So if you can only give out 10 of them, then you really need to make sure that there are 10 people that are going to be bought into, one, they're going to create content that you can reuse. You're not just giving it to your friends and hoping that they post a photo of it. And 2, how can you maximize that output? Like, can you go and do a shoot with them there and then and keep the product, take it to your next friend, do that. It's like sometimes you just have to scrap together whatever it is you can. Lean on friends, lean on family, create your own UGC to start with and make it look like it's organic until you get the ball rolling, is what I would say.
So you could almost make a proof of concept that maybe another creator down the line can look at and say, just to show them that, hey, look, like this is what UGC content might look like with us by creating a false, it's not like manipulative, but almost like a mock-up in a way.
No, not even that. Like I would only, like every brand we started, we did that. Like you go out and just shoot your own content to start with. Like you'd be silly to invest all of your time and capital into paying people to do it, or even just sending out products without knowing what the outcome's going to be. So I think you need to control the look and you need to control the outcome to your best of your ability to start with. And then from there, that kind of sets your branding and it sets your UGC guidelines, I guess, because you've shot the photos, you know exactly how you want them to look, and you go from there. Now, if you don't have those skills, then by all means, you might have to outsource it. But starting out, like I think it's just scrap it together and go from there.
A lot of people that I speak with, they have many of the issues that you're solving in this conversation, that they will send stuff to influencers, and one, it's just expensive for them. And the worst part is that when they receive the product, that the influencer asks them for money for a post.
Yeah.
And then also when they do post it, it's like they have to follow up 100 million times to get anything from them. And then when they do, it's just not great.
Yeah.
And it's because they're not, like, the influencer's not a photographer, they're not a videographer, they just like fashion or whatever. And so I think like something that really stuck out to me that I've actually been speaking to about my people recently is creating stuff in person. It's like an absolute cheat code, because like you say, even if like you're trying to scrap some stuff together and you need to hold on to it afterwards, well, heck, maybe you can do that if you shoot it in person. But even more than that, you've got the control of the quality. You've got greater output per person. And although it might take some more effort, I think, and maybe you'd agree with this, Jai, that the overall ROI on an investment of time like that is far greater than this, the scraps that you get from influencers and paying for a $500 post.
100%. Yeah, I think, as I said, you kind of need to own the process until it becomes self-sustaining. Like, if you have $1,000 to your name and you're paying an influencer with 50,000 followers to post once on their stories, like I don't even, like, it's just a stupid idea. Like, you need to do as much as you can with as little as you've got and scrap it all together until it gets to a point where it is actually self-sustaining.
Yeah.
So yeah, owning the process, keeping everything in-house until you really can't actually feasibly do it anymore because you've grown to a certain level is what I would suggest should be the main focus. Like, the minute you outsource things, you lose control over them anyway. So if you specifically speaking about clothing brands, like, as a founder, you should really care about the creative direction of your brand, because it is an expression of you or what your customers like. And not every founder is like that, and not every founder needs to think like that. But I would say, and you can speak to this as well, probably 9 times out of 10, they should really care about absolutely everything to do with the aesthetics of the brand and what the photos look like. And
heck yes, make a break.
To me, it's like, that's all that matters, is what does it look like? Does it look cool or not? Because if it doesn't look cool, no one's going to buy it.
Yeah, 100%. So step one is, especially if you're working with lower scale, is to be very intentional about the people that you find. Is there some kind of framework or approach that someone can go to take to actually find these people, and also in particular validate the quality of an influencer or just a content creator, whatever, UGC, before they even reach out and say, hey, do you want to be a part of this?
I think before they even start that process is like, they need to have crystal clear outcomes of what they want. It's like, do you have a Pinterest board or a lookbook that is like down to the button clear? Like, because if you don't have that, then there's too much room for interpretation. The minute you bring outside people in and you give them something to do, if you don't have the clearest instructions, then they're going to interpret it in the way that they want, and they're going to do it however they want. Now, you may want that because you like their style, but majority of people, speaking back on the founders, like, they have a clear idea of what they want. And so that's when they get upset. There's that that disappointment that the influencer didn't take the photo they wanted to. So
it's on the brand owner.
I think everything's on the brand owner. There's nothing that shouldn't, as a founder, like, what isn't on you? Like realistically, like, and I've caught myself having this conversation with myself, or like, you blame people, but then for something that you didn't like that they did, or they didn't deliver on whatever it is. But when you reflect on it, it's like, did I give them all the instructions? Was I very clear? Did I follow up with them? Did I, provide them with everything they need to do the job the way that I want to do? And if you actually looked in the mirror and asked yourself, is that true? I would say it's probably not. So to go back to the point one is like, do you have a clear enough idea in your head that I could pull a random off the street and they could go and shoot the photos? And if the answer is no, do that first. Secondly is like, you actually just have to sit down and research, like, who do I want to be in my photos? Like, you can't just look at the people with 100,000 followers. Go and look at who follows them. Go and look at who's commenting on their posts. Like, go and look who's tagging them in posts. Like, try and find those people that are 5 or 6 rungs down, that are just getting started, that are hungry for opportunities, that have 5,000 followers or 1,000 followers, and you can see them posting consistently. Like, they're the people that they're going to do it either for free, or they're going to be open to feedback is probably another thing. Like, a person with 100,000 followers doesn't give a fuck what you say as a brand. They're going to do it the way that they want. A person with 5,000 followers, if they're really pushing to get to that 100,000 follower level, they're really going to be open more often than not. They're going to be quite open to ideas. They're going to be quite open to feedback, or like, you know, hey, can you shoot it this way? They'll probably be keen and hungry for the opportunity. So that's like, as a brand, you need to identify those people first.
Have you ever heard of the bacon theory? So it's also known as the 6 degrees of separation. And it's from this guy in Hollywood, I think. He's named Kevin Bacon. And he's just known for knowing everyone. Like, not even his movies. He's just, people know him because he knows everyone. And so the theory goes that we are 6 degrees of separation or less from every single person living on Earth right now. So it's you and Kim Kardashian, or me and Kanye West. Why I picked those two, no idea. But it's an interesting thought as it relates to influencers and what you're talking about with checking their followers and look at the tag section on Instagram, see who's tagging the people that are tagging them.
Even like, you compare, I think a good one that I didn't touch on is like, go to your biggest, or like even a competitor that's a direct relationship to you, and look at their tagged photos, because I guarantee you a budding influencer, someone that wants to be noticed, that is like really pushing to grow their profile, they will be tagging the clothing brands that they're wearing, and you will find thousands and thousands of people. That's
good.
Yeah.
So you could go into the page of a competitor clothing brand that is just a larger scale than you, doing a similar kind of thing, go into their tag section, just look through all of those posts and the profiles that are tagging that brand, and they're the ones that want to work with them but that can't, and so they're going to say yes when the opportunity comes across to work with you.
100%.
But
like, no one does that. Like, no one does that work. Like, everyone just wants, they're just going to find that, oh, I follow X influencer, I'm just going to hit them up, and they're going to charge me too much. Like, oh, that's too hard. Like, no one wants to sit in front of their phone for 5 hours and create spreadsheets of hundreds of influencers. No one goes and hires a VA to do it for you. Like, there's all these little things that you can do to actually get way more value out of your time and an opportunity, but it's just like levels to it, I guess.
Yeah. And so it's in line with the idea that like-minded people know other like-minded people. Like, you and I, we're connected because we're both in the space of, like, most of our clients are in e-commerce. I mean, like, we are like-minded in many ways, not in all ways. I guess that makes for richness of relationship. But the same is true for the influencer that you want to work with is connected with other influencers that are kind of like that guy too. So if you want to work with him, work with his friends.
It's like, I can't remember who it is, but like, there's a really good story about that, of like a brand getting their products into all the hands of all the other celebrities around. Like, a major celebrity, I'm butchering it, but like, there was a major celebrity they wanted to work with, and they got their product into the hands of her manager and all their friends in the circle.
I think it was Whoop.
No, it was another one though. It was like a bikini brand.
I don't follow bikini brands. I'm not gonna lie.
There was a really famous bikini brand that did it, and they got it into, maybe it was like Kendall Jenner. They wanted to get it onto, but they got it to all their friends first.
True.
And then she saw it and she goes, I want this, and she came across.
Mad. Yeah, I think Whoop. I bring up Whoop because they had a strategy where, the Whoop arm bracelet. Yeah. So they wanted to get it on, I think it was like Michael Jordan. Maybe not. No, it was someone else who's like still, I don't know if he still plays basketball, but someone who's like very active.
It would be like LeBron or something.
Yeah, someone like that.
Yeah.
And so what they did is they just gave it to all the personal trainers, like the top class personal trainers. And it was awesome because those personal trainers weren't receiving stuff. Their athletes were. But for once, the brand actually decided to do something creative. Right. So they gave it to the personal traders and basically just said, hey, use this. If it's like, okay, whatever, don't. If it's amazing, give it to your athlete. Yeah. And that's what it comes back to, just creating a good product too, because it was just a great product.
Yeah.
And the athletes, well, they received it because the trainers basically said, hey, this is for you. Like, I want you to use it. And that's how they got it on like major athletes. No paid promotions.
It's crazy.
No paper, just like literally creativity. And heck, a startup brand with a good product could do that too.
Yeah.
But I guess it has to be good.
Well, it's like, it comes back to product and like, what's the differentiation? Like, you're not going to do it with your hoodies.
Not even 500 GSM ones, Joey?
It's like, yeah, you need some sort of differentiation to some degree.
Yeah. So step 1 is to get really specific about how everything is to look. Like, go onto Pinterest, create a mood board and almost like a pitch deck that is ready to send out. Someone on the street could actually make it look like that, because it's that specific. Step 2 is find the people via maybe your competitors, maybe people that ideally you'd like to work with, and go see who they're connected with and contact them. After you've sent out a message, or maybe we're up to sending a message, what do you think is the next step after we've found the people?
Reaching out to them, I guess. And it's like, if you don't get a reply from 50 people, then send it to another 200 people. Like, there's really should be no limit of how many people you send it to. The only, I guess, thing that would be pushed back on is like, how much products do you have to gift and work with?
Right. So that's what, step 3?
Step 3, step 4.
Step 3, yeah. Step 4. And then is that it? Or is there another step?
What's like, yeah, I guess it's like, what's your goal though? Like, getting 20 UGC photos isn't going to then start making you sell more products or get more followers. Like, it's, what is your outcome of getting that UGC? It's like, is it just for reviews? Is it for like creating a lookbook? Like, what's the specifics behind it?
I think it's probably less lookbook. I think maybe their main concern is views, because in the mind of the brand owner, more views equals more sales.
Yeah, but like, are you posting it? Are they posting it? Like, what's the strategy? Because again, you just getting 20 videos from random people isn't going to...
Yeah.
There's no context. Like, there's no... Yeah, you have to bring it back to like actual basic content pillars. Like, what is the goal? Posting those videos, if they're just showing off the product, it doesn't really make sense unless you've got thousands of them, because then people see it as like a FOMO thing.
Right.
Like, they want that product because everyone else is wearing it. Whereas if you've only got 10 videos of random people wearing it, like, that's not going to help you in any way. You'd be better off spending your time creating founder-led content, because you can do so much more of that, and it's so much more in depth, and you can talk about why you're creating the products, how you're creating them, the challenges, the things you've had to learn. Like, all of that is inherently more interesting than you just having 10, 20, 30 random videos of people wearing your products, unless they're famous. Like, you know. Something
that I know that you have spoken about before, and at the very least think about it, is give, ask. As it relates to brands, can you break down what that is?
I think like too many people, if we talk about maybe in the earlier stages of business, is like they just ask straight away, like, buy my product, follow me for this reason, like, you know, I want this from you, instead of giving them entertainment, education, storytelling, whatever it is. Like, they don't give anything out into the world of social media. All they do is ask, and they never get anything back in return. So my philosophy is with everything is like, you give as much away for free, you give as much entertainment away for free, education, whatever it is, like whatever your goals are, give, and at some stage something will come back that you want to receive. And if you ask too early, it just won't come back, because people don't care. Like, people don't want to give their time, their attention, unless, you know, they get something in return.
What questions should brand owners be asking themselves before they put something out into the world about their content to make sure that it is, like, let's just say for value, to make sure it's giving value? What questions can they ask themselves?
I actually talked about this today as like this framework of like the SIM framework. That's like, is it simple enough that people can understand it? Like, can I get a 10-year-old, or can I get a random off the street and watch your piece of content and they know what you're talking about? If the answer is no, then it's not simple enough. Is it interesting enough? Like, in that sense, like, will someone become interested enough in it And then is it memorable enough? Like, are you making it entertaining enough and memorable enough that they will remember it?
Yeah, no, I think that this kind of comes in line with not over asking, because if the way I see it is that if all content is focused on the product you're selling, everything becomes irrelevant when you release something else. And that kind of goes against the memorable part of things too, because if all of your content is like quicksand, when it's just always sinking, you're always going to have to like do something new. Well, like, what are you known for? Like, if it's only a product, and if it's never the content or the idea that you're selling or the value that you give, and
it depends on your pillar, right? Like, I think two things can be true at the same time, but you just have to be very open-minded about what it is that you're trying to achieve as a business when you're posting content, like, and what actually serves your business, right? Like, if you have a supplement brand or like a health and wellness brand, you just like posting viral TikToks and like trend hacking and jumping on whatever's trending at that point in time, that doesn't serve you as a business, because it doesn't make you serious. It doesn't make you trustworthy. It doesn't make you authentic in any way. People just think you're just an entertainer and you're like someone having fun on the platform. Whereas if you go down the route of building a community through your content and educating them and fostering loyalty to your brand as an authority, like, that serves you way better than anything else could. And I think people get caught up of like, oh, I need to be posting funny TikToks, or, you know, as a business, like, are you better served having a fraction of followers, but they're highly engaged, really tight-knit community, you got crazy engagement, crazy loyalty? Like, are you better with that, or are you better with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers, but you have shit engagement and people only interact with your posts that are viral kind of moments?
That's eye-opening for someone, that they can, you know, chill out with the funny stuff and actually consider how it's serving them.
And it's like, as I said, two things can be true at once. Like, for one brand, it can make sense, right? And it can be the perfect route for them to grow an audience, and, you know, a bigger audience, as much as it may not, you know, as much as it may be low quality, them having millions of followers may be a good thing, because they can just release anything and it will work to some degree. But the other side can be true as well. Is like, a supplement brand may be better off having 50,000 followers, but they're loyal, you know, engaged, educated, they love everything they say, and they're going to have a better chance selling to them and not dealing with all the shit commenters and, you know, having to have people fighting in their comments because they don't understand what they're trying to educate them on. So that's why I say two things can be true at once. It just really depends on the business yourself, what the business wants out of it.
Right. And with that SIM framework, simple, is it simple? Is it interesting? Is it memorable? What do you see as a good example? I mean, you were creating content about this today, were you?
Yeah, I was writing about this morning.
Did you have an example you put with it?
It was kind of just like, that was the rabbit hole I went down of like, is it easy enough for you to then explain it to anyone? Like, that's always what I say.
Right.
No matter whether I'm writing an SOP for someone to go and do a job for me, no matter whether I'm explaining something to someone over the internet, no matter whether I'm creating a script for a video for my personal brand, like, is this piece of content, is this task simple enough that I can give it to someone else and they can understand it? Because
Sure.
If not, it falls back on me as the explainer that I haven't done a good enough job of it. Now, like, that should just be someone's rule of thumb regardless, like, especially as a founder. Like, and when you start to outsource things, you'll find out very quickly that it takes you maybe half an hour longer to do what you think is the job anyway, because you've just explained it to the final, like, dot point of doing everything down to the final key of pressing those buttons. But if you do that, you'll never have any back and forth with the person that you're explaining something to. And that's, I think, the most important thing is like, how easy can I make this for someone to do it? Because then it becomes a weight off my shoulders. I don't have to double check their work. I don't have to answer any follow-up questions. I know it's done.
Yeah. I am preparing for this conversation. I thought we'd maybe do something fun. And I asked my audience yesterday what questions or what problems they have in their clothing brands right now.
Yeah.
And I told them a little bit about you as a guest. And so I hope you find this as funny as I do. I've titled this segment, Dissolve My Problems. It's a play on dissolve.
Okay.
Dissolve my problems. Dissolve my problems. I told my fiance leading up to this, and she did not find it that funny. So I'm glad to say that I'll be able to go back home and give her a call and say, he laughed. Is it funny? No. I shouldn't have asked.
Not my best. Not your best.
Okay. All right. So what I'll read you the name.
Yep.
What brand they're from, if it have it, and then I'll read you the question or their situation. Okay. So this is from Brian, who has a brand called Ast Fit. Brian. I think that the clothes I'm putting out is amazing and I truly believe in them. But I don't know if my Instagram is set up bad. I don't know if the content I push out is bad. So I need help with both, from both of you with ideas. I felt Gymshark's quality and Young LA. Young LA, and I can confidently say my brand's quality is way better. So, I mean, to distill a question from this, it could be something like, how do I know if my content is bad, or what actions can I take to fix it?
I think like the thing that stood out to me the most was like them making the point of their quality is better than, I guess, their competitors, I would assume. So it's like, as a small brand, like you can do whatever the fuck you want. Like you can call out these Gymsharks and Young LAs and whatever and say like, here's the quality of ours compared to them. Now you can't just say it, you actually have to visually show it. And that may be with weights of products, that may be with showing the stretchiness of your products, whatever it is that they want to get across. Like, is it waterproof? Is it better sweat wicking? Like, it's hard for me to answer that without seeing content.
I think it's a gym brand. I get the feeling.
I get that, yeah. So it's like, okay, do comparison content. Like, show why it's better. You can't just say it's better. Like, I can't just take your word for it as a consumer. I'm going to go to Gymshark because I know Gymshark and I trust it. Like, are you going to beat them on price? Maybe, but I still want a bigger brand because I know Gymshark and everyone else wears it. Okay, it's like, how do I cut through? It's probably through, here's a product that maybe $5-10 cheaper, or maybe it's $5-10 more expensive, but it's going to last me a year longer than anything Gymshark does. Like, Gymshark is notoriously bad for their quality, but it's Gymshark, so everyone buys it. So it's like, okay, go down the route of, here's my product that's similarly priced, but the quality is much better. I'm not just going to take your word for it. You actually have to show us.
Like, I feel like if someone can make a claim that their gym clothes, let's just say, are actually like that much better than Gymshark's, having like side-by-side comparison,
yeah,
that's sick. You know, and to actually like buy the Gymshark clothing and to show in a very visual way that works on short form, I think that could be quite effective.
The only thing I'd say as well is like, it won't work for every brand. Like, no matter that your brand might have a heavier quality hoodie than Balenciaga, people buy into the brand because it's the brand. So like, people aren't buying it for performance, they're buying it for the brand. So you have to be very careful of like, am I a gym brand? Like, this kid sounds like it is. It's like, yeah, that's a really good example of like performance wear. So it has to be about performance. It has to be about how the clothes perform more so than the brand itself. And that's where the comparison content comes into it. No matter how much you care about your brand and your product, you just have to be realistic and say no one's going to care about it.
Yeah. So in other words, make a good product, make better marketing. And
yeah, it's either one of the two. And
right.
If you can do both, great. But like, you either have to be better at marketing and build a brand and a story around it, or you have to actually be better performance tech and show the products in use.
Yeah. Cool. Good answer. Yeah. Adriano, right now I'm in the process of building my brand from the ground. One of my biggest struggles is storytelling and how to implement it in a powerful way visually. I admire how brands like Amy Leon,
and Amy Leondor.
Yeah, 2Js or Sporty and Rich create strong lookbooks and campaigns that communicate their world so clearly. I'd love to learn how Jai would approach this process when the brand is still taking shape. How do you translate a brand's feeling or DNA into visual assets, environments, or narratives that people connect with emotionally? And more importantly, what are some concrete steps or implementations to get there, especially when resources are limited and you're just starting out?
I think this is a really common problem, is that people look at someone like a brand like ALD, right? And they have millions of dollars in budgets. They do collabs with Porsche. Like, they're one of the most famous streetwear brands in the world at the moment, and they think they need to copy what they do to that degree, and it's just never going to happen because you don't have the budgets for it. So you have to be very clear, like, okay, how do I actually systematically go about creating my own little world and what we're in at the moment? Are we a startup? Like, are we starting from the ground up? Like, what's the look that I want my brand to take on? You can't just go from 0 to 100. You have to step it out along the way. And that's, you know, speaking on the actionable steps, is like, for $100 or less, you could recreate any scene if you really wanted to. Maybe even less if you already have all the equipment or if you borrow it all. But having a really clear plan of what you want it to look like, not muddling up your ideas between different eras or looks, going to an op shop, buying all the clothes, buying an old camera, like, all of those things would easily work.
Yeah, I think that's a great approach to creating something that's very visually interesting on a budget. A big part of Adriano's question was about storytelling, and something that I'll start that I want you to finish, Jai, is, and it's because I know you've got something to say about it. Pressure's on. I think, like, for brands that struggle with storytelling, a great place to start is with a brand narrative. Yeah. To have some kind of overarching or archetypal story that is embodied in every single thing you post. Yeah.
I think that's like what should get you out of bed in the morning. It's like, if you really cared about it as a brand, it's like, even on a personal level, like, who do you want to be and what do you want to be known for? And everything else is irrelevant. I think, you know, what other people are doing should be irrelevant. What your competitors are doing should be irrelevant. You should just stay in your lane until you actually come out of it to some degree. So until you come out the other side, like, you know, you have to actually carve out a name for yourself and an identity before you can actually start to branch out and try and do different styles or different things. Like, you should really be known for one thing first. Like, you want to be that brand that is known for X, or you want to be that brand that has X style for a reason. It's like, because if you don't do that, you spread yourself so thin and you go in so many different directions and you never actually make a dent in any of them.
It's almost like, if you want to go out and tell stories, you almost have to look in. Like, as what you were saying about, it's that your brand narrative is the reason for everything. It's like, why you get up.
Yeah, it's like, well, even like his example, it's like, how does he tell the story? It's like, well, what is your story? Like, what do you look in the mirror and see? Like, you know, do you see yourself as a young entrepreneur that is starting a clothing brand because he has a passion for clothes, or because he thinks it's cool, or like he wants to copy bigger brands, like, or like he feels a need to, like, whatever it is, like, own it and, you know, really lean into it. Like, it can be whatever you want it to be because it's your own story and your own narrative.
It makes me think that your brand and the stories that you tell should focus on the things that make you so unique. That's the thing that so many people shy away from. In fact, heck, I did. I did. You know, I mean, part of my story is like, I do this pretty young. I don't want people to know that. But maybe that's what makes it so special at the same time. Maybe that's what makes my story unique.
I think, like, yeah, like, there's not many 19-year-old, well, 19?
Yeah, 2020.
Like, there's not many kids at this age even that could hold a conversation with a client, or that could have brands working with them. So you should really lean into that. Like, you know, that's unique in its own sense. And I think if you have value to give, that doesn't matter how old you are, which people shy away from. I think just if the value is good, it's good. Like there's no real reason for it to matter if it comes from a 30-year-old, if it comes from an 18-year-old. Like it really doesn't matter. So I think you should lean into it more.
Thanks, Chai. No, I appreciate that. Daniel from Redemption Wear says, we're almost at 1,000 followers and right below the $1,000 per month mark. That's pretty good for 1,000 followers. We're a Christian streetwear brand. What's the best advice on posting on social media to grow your community? Or I've just wrote a little note here. So what specific pieces of content can I post to grow a community of insert target audience? In this case, maybe a Christian clothing brand.
I think like, well, the most obvious thing is like what I'm not Christian, so I don't know, but like what do Christian people on the internet consume? Like, is it content about their religion or is it just content in general? Like, I don't actually know.
I think, I can shed some light. I think that stories of other Christians and their stories and like how, because I mean, like following a religion is hard because it's often countercultural, especially with something like Christianity. So I think like sharing inspirational stories of other people that are firm in their faith and aren't unashamable, they're not ashamed about it and they're confident and they do things in their everyday life, and sharing those stories, like, I mean, that's content that Christians do consume. That's content that I think is fairly easy to capture as well. But also like educational side of things, I don't know, content that people consume, like devotions.
I don't think it has to just be that kind of content. It can be a mix of it, but the reality is like it is a niche thing that he is selling, and it's a niche industry to some degree. Like, yes, there's hundreds of millions of them, but like you have to at least speak in their language in terms of like, what do other Christians like consuming? What are they going to interact with? If you just go out there and just start pumping out about entrepreneur lifestyle, hustle culture, is that going to work for your audience and the people that you're trying to talk to? I would say probably not. So it's like, okay, look at what people interact with and kind of double down on that. Look at what other people in your maybe competitors are doing. What kind of content are they posting? Are they posting these devotions? Are they posting these inspirational stories? If they are, then that's a clear signal that you should be doing that too, with your own spin on it. You don't want to just be copying them, but like put your own stories into it, put your own experiences into it. If that's not what they're posting, then are they posting, I don't even know, like whatever it is that they're posting, you should be doing that as well. Because I think at that early 1,000 followers or less stage, it's like you really should just be imitating what others are doing until you figure out what grows your own audience and what people like what you say.
Underrated opinion. I think, like, to make this really practical, I think what someone could do, like whether it's in the niche of Christianity or another one that's totally different, find people that embody that niche, that are in that community of people. Ask to look at their feed. Maybe it's a strange question, but if you ask enough people, someone will say yes. And take some notes about the kind of stuff that's popping up on their explore page, because the way that Instagram works, or TikTok or wherever, is the algorithm serves things that they believe that will cause you to spend more time on the platform. In other words, things that you enjoy. And so if you can see what kind of content they're consuming, it could give some really great insights into what could you post and what could you put your own spin on. How can you incorporate your clothing into that as well? Yeah. And so this is not a guessing game or one where people, just come up with content now.
Even simpler than that is like, take your, even way simpler than that is like, take your 5 competitors, take their best 10 reels, look at them, read the comments. One, just completely rip their video, but put your own spin on it. So like if they've done a video about a certain script in the Bible or whatever it is, like, I'm butchering this probably, but if they've done a video on that and it's gone viral, go and make your own video exactly the same, copy their structure, copy their format, copy their hook, and you will find out whether you like doing that content or not. Go and do that for all of your 5 biggest competitors, their 10 best videos. That's 50 videos right there. If you haven't got a better idea of what content you should be posting after that, then, you know, you're in for a long run, I would say. But
that is game over. Pick a new niche.
Yeah.
Winston says, I'm struggling with understanding strategy on customers and generating viable leads through SMS. So struggling to get SMS leads.
Yeah.
I need guidance in finding new leads for my clothing brand and getting new customers fully through my sales funnel. Okay. I think he's trying to say like from the top awareness down to sale. He wants to get them all the way through. I make clothes with the purpose of starting conversations through the pieces. It's called Jada, art that leaves your house.
SMS is like hard to get right. Like it's a very personal thing. Like it's really hard to get any sort of interaction or reply from anyone unless it's a sale. Like, you know, unless you're getting a sale notification to your phone, you're not really going to click through the link anyway. So one part of it is probably, to me, it sounds like that's not the right strategy. Like I would be more so focused on what can you do organically to build awareness and engagement and bring an audience to you more so than trying to push your message onto them.
Right. So it's not working, cut the strategy.
Probably. Like it sounds like it's not a big brand yet. Like SMS is a play that's typically reserved for big brands. Just, you know, they've got their thousands and tens of thousands of people on their email list, and they might have a very much smaller VIP SMS list that they want to hit. But SMS it's personal. People don't like getting sales texts. Like I know that for a fact, having sent thousands of them. Like it's not something.
I got one today.
It's annoying.
I closed it.
And you opt out of them. Every single one of them I get, I opt out of. Like emails are okay, but SMS is, there needs to be a very good reason why you're sending someone SMSs to try and convert them.
Coming back to give, ask. I see, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this as well, Jai. I see as an approach of the now and of the future that's not very well spoken about is actually building community platforms. It's a move that I've noticed in some larger brands, like even brands like Sweats Collective, Trico. They have a Discord community.
Yeah.
And it's used as an alternative even to SMS, because what happens is they, like, instead of just sending something to an isolated inbox with no value that's just asking, you create a space that your community actually wants to be in, can actually receive value from, is actually going to show up for, and then come the time when you are ready to drop something, you put out an announcement in that chat. Okay, well, people are already showing up to this space, and they might actually check it.
Yeah, communities, like, obviously probably one of the most valuable things you can do, but it's not as easy as just looking at someone like a Trico that's built these amazing communities. Like, and I think that's again where people get caught up, is they look at these best in class, biggest brands, best examples of what you should be trying to do, and think that it's really easy, and like they don't look at the process of how they've gotten there. Like someone like a Trico has cultivated that over years and like built it from the ground up, essentially brick by brick. Like it doesn't happen overnight, and you have to really invest in your community and give them a reason to continue to actually want to be a part of it. Like what value does someone joining your community besides the odd message once a week? Like what do they get out of it? Like that is probably the biggest question.
Yeah, true. And I think like for a brand like Winston's, like it's an art brand, I think.
Yeah.
So I think
art is community based, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like art, like, and that it ties into it, but like what do they get from being a part of your community? Like what do they receive? Is it like they get to see the process of how you created that art? Do they get to see, do they get to have requests? Like do they get to request you paint something, create something, whatever it is? Like
the way I see it is it could be a space where artists come and they can connect with other artists and they can share their work, they can get feedback on their work, and they could be inspired, because maybe that's, I don't know if that's a problem for many that some artists have.
Yeah.
You know, so it's less founder-led. I know it's kind of contrary to maybe some of the conversations we've been having, but it's less founder-led and more community?
Community is really hard, like to put your finger on it, because it could be any multitude of things. Like you can build a community any way. Your community could be just your actual organic following, if you really wanted to consider that. And then you could have a channel inside Instagram and you could talk to them. Like that's a community in itself.
Close friends list.
Close friends list. Like all of that. You don't need to have a Discord, or you don't need to have a separate standalone community. But yeah, I feel like we've left that one a little bit untouched, but
I think he's stop SMS. Great feedback, Jai. Pluto, what a name. Space Ground Fits. Everyone's saying fit. When I'm collaborating with skaters, should I do a collaboration with my personal account or my brand account? Pretty simple question.
Yeah, it's brand account, obviously.
Okay.
You could chuck all three in there. It just depends. Like if you have different followings and different audiences, then there's no reason why you can't have all three. Like doing collaboration posts is a good hack for smaller brands and people with like similar size profiles to open themselves up to new audiences.
I agree.
I think big brands, it's not worth it because they have their own audience and they kind of own it. Like unless they're collaborating with someone bigger, or like there's no point in them collaborating with someone smaller than them. Because they don't really gain anything from it. But if they're similar in size or bigger, then it makes sense.
Interesting take, because I think I disagree in some ways. And the way that I think that bigger brands can gain something from collaborating with smaller, just like imagine individuals. Like I saw this, like ASICS, they did this post with this lady who was in some kind of like rehab center that, their main focus was physical activity. And her name was, I can't remember, Jade. Let's just call her Jade. Her name was Jade. And what they did is ASICS did a collaboration post with Jade. And at first it's like, okay, why do they do this? But then I think about it more, and the effect on an audience, or the effect on even Jade and her friends and family, is monumental, in that now we see ASICS as not just some like big brand up in the stars, but heck, they're for the people. Like, this is Jade. She's my neighbor. She's my mom. She's my friend. Or I don't know who Jade is, but like, that's exactly the point. I have no idea who she is. And this big brand's collaborating with her. Flip, they really care about their community.
Yeah, but it's like, what their content aligned with that as well, though. Like, it was a storytelling arc and they wanted to bring that person to life and like not just be a faceless actor in a thing. So I agree with you 100%. Like, it does make sense in those regards, but a lot of times you see these bigger, or like actually the way that I see it play out is like you see these medium or smaller size brands convince a much bigger brand to collaborate with them, and it adds no value to that bigger brand. And that's where I see no point in it. I think a big brand should protect their authority as a whole. Them collaborating with a much smaller brand doesn't really gain anything. But I agree with your point of like, bringing that person to life and putting a name to the face, because she's the main character of the video and the storytelling narrative is a great idea. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Tell me, Jai, about this 30 tips in 30 days. And like, you take this wherever you want to go. What's your favorite tip, or you believe like the most practical one that you've shared over the last 27, 28 days, whatever it's been? So I did like a 30-day series of like breaking up how to create a brand on social media that actually has authority and, cuts through. So I broke it up into storytelling, practical elements of like how to actually film yourself, hook examples, brand voice, brand narrative, storytelling kind of tips and tricks. Let's go on the film yourself one. Yeah. How do you film yourself? To summarize it, I guess you have a very clear plan in place. So I script everything out that I say, line by line. I use a shot list every time. I script everything out. I have a very clear plan in place. I write down the shots that I want, the visuals, where I'm doing it. I give myself 3 takes to spit it out unless I really need to keep doing it. And then I just roll through and film them all. The main work happens in the pre-planning stage. Like I read everything out. I write everything down to a T. Every word that I say is scripted, purely because if I don't script it, I will ramble and I'll lose my train of thought and it won't come off as natural because I won't get the points out that I want to make. So script everything out, plan it out, go and shoot it. That's the main thing. And post it and not overthink it. Like my favorite videos I've probably made in the last 30 days have been about not overthinking things and actually just doing the work that needs to be done. Like just posting the video, whether it's good or not, doesn't matter as long as you're posting. And at some stage you will get better if you consistently look at what worked and what didn't. So my favorite videos and the things that I like to probably talking about the most is the actual getting over that initial hurdle and hump of posting your first videos or your first 50 videos, first 1,000 videos, whatever it is. Like my goal is to post 1,000 videos this year. And I'm only going to do that one by one.
It's like 3 a day.
Yeah. And I'm not quite there yet, but I will get there. So.
Wow. 1,000 video year. That's awesome.
It'll be like individual videos, probably closer to 500, but then like posted them across multiple channels.
Yeah. Got you. And for a brand that's starting out with content creation, they've got $1,000 in the account.
Yeah.
What's a basic gear list that you would give them in order priority to spend that money in a very wise way when they're filming themselves?
Other than an iPhone, nothing really. Like a microphone, I would say, is probably the only other thing, like an external mic of some sort. Now, there are people making millions of dollars with just an iPhone, so there's no need for anything else. But if you feel the need, like it's really going to change the outcome of your content, it's actually going to make your content better, then an external mic would be the next thing. And a tripod, a mic and a tripod. If you can't make some sort of videos that you're proud of and get the ball rolling with just those two things, then no expensive camera is going to save you. I agree. Yeah. I agree big time. I think there's an over reliance on DSLRs for some strange reason. It's not even a reliance though. It's like they think it's important when it's right. Yeah. And they spend $2,000 on a camera body and then another more on a lens, thinking that they're about to get $2,500 more in sales because they just got that investment. People don't even realize, like Instagram and TikTok, like if you shoot in 4K, it compresses it anyway. It makes the video worse, the quality of it worse. So don't tell them they're crying, Jai. You need to like, I film in 4K on a camera, but I export my videos in 1080p. Like people don't realize that these platforms compress them anyway. So an expensive camera is not in any way going to make your videos better unless you are telling incredibly cinematic stories, which I would say 99.9% of people aren't when they're starting out. The only thing they should be doing is talking to camera and getting used to telling stories that way. Right. And I think you just summarize it. The difference is going to be made in the content of the content itself, in the stories 100%. That you tell. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Jai, what do you want to be remembered for? It's gone deep. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't even know. No idea. Not at this stage, no. Quite content figuring it out. Yeah. What would you, if you gave it your best guess, what would you be remembered for? At this, as far as you know, at this stage in your life? Probably someone that is like happy to pull my head down and try and figure things out and make things happen. Is that something that's important to you? I think so, yeah. It's not gonna, things only work out when you kind of do the work yourself, I feel. Put yourself in the right positions. Thanks for coming on the show, Jai. Really appreciate it. Pleasure. Yeah. It's been good. Was this good? It's good.